we're gonna call the November 20th meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Miller here, Mr. Smith here, Mr. Beckett here, Mr. Murray here, Mr. Peter.
Here, at this time, we'll do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, is there any board members who desire to delete, add, or separate any items to the consent agenda as proposed? No. I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented for the regular board meeting on November 20th, 2023.
Move support.
Roll call.
Mr. Miller? Yes. Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckett? Yes. Mr. Murray? Yes. Mr. Peter?
Yes, motion carries. This time we need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on October 16th of 2023.
So moved. Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Miller? Yes. Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckett? Yes. Mr. Murray? Yes. Mrs. Peter?
Yes, motion carries. At this time, is there any board members with correspondence? No, I would just like to say, last week I did go to the LSBA conference and I've met with, following building administrators on a couple different things. I went for mental health for students, student achievement and barriers to success and wellness, and brought back a lot of materials for our administrators. I also like to congratulate all those kids that were in the musical. It was phenomenal. I think that's all. And Mr. Carroll. Mr. Smollett.
Received notice of resignation from Scott Westbrook and Betty.
Continue recognizing our guests and visitors.
That's with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Here, please just introduce yourself. Walter Carr. Jacob Kessler, Bill Report. Tony Noble.
Christy Smith.
Lucas Burkholder.
Dr. Dolores Swineford. Terry Brown.
Brady Rupert.
Jenny Conrad. Sarah Keller. Anna Vanasky.
Andrew Fox. Ethan Wolf. Kate Warren.
Judy Butler.
Manuel Karen.
Janice Smith.
Larry Baker.
Don Hunter. Thank you. Seeing that we have no one registered to address the board, we'll move on with Mr. Carroll's financial report.
All right, thank you. October financial reports. First page that you have is your cash reconciliation. That shows that our software is balanced with the bank. We then have our financial summary by fund. This is how all of our funds are currently appropriated. We have our cash summary. This is the cash balance in each fund that we have. It shows our encumbrances for every fund that we have at Evergreen. The next one is our disbursement summary. That shows every check that we have issued during the month of October. The first graph that you see is our general fund graph. This compares October to last October, and then this current fiscal year to date compared to last fiscal year to date. We also have that percentage base to the forecast. So everything is in line right now as we are at the end of October, 33% of the way through this fiscal year. Next graph is payroll and benefits broken down. Again, everything is in line. You'll see payroll is just a touch higher for October. That's because we had a couple severance payments to issue. But we are 33% and 31% of the way through our payroll and benefits budget. The last graph you see is our income tax collection. Comparing this year to last time, or last year at this time, we have collected 95.2% of what we did collect last year. So a little bit behind what we collected. And the next one is our 5-year forecast. Finance committee met last week and went over this. Just a couple little things to, when you're looking at this, our income tax, you'll see in fiscal year 26, 27, and 28, our income tax goes down. It is online at 11.01 here at the bottom, if that was just the renewal that we just had. In the back of your packet, you'll see something that I've been working on. This is a document that was given to all coaches and student activity advisors. This is kind of just an intro to board policy requirements, things that we have to do. And just a tool to give that we've given to all coaches and advisors. On the consent agenda here, we did have 2 donations into the Student Assistance Fund. We have a couple transfers, just student fee money to lunch account money and money to help students in their lunch account. We have 3 grants to approve. And then the program cost agreement with the ESC of Lake Erie West, this is for Holy Trinity. The last item on this consent agenda is to return some funds that were not spent from Holy Trinity. That would be for fiscal year 22 and 23. And then all these transfers that you see, this is for our bond payments. We have to pay for our bonds out of a certain fund. So we are just transferring money to those funds in order to pay them correctly. So that is all I have for the financials.
Any questions for Mr. Carroll?
I have one question, Brian. Looking at about the benefits, payroll and benefits chart. We had a big bump in January, December of last year. I don't recall what that was.
So that'll be for the HSA contributions, every January.
Okay.
We get it for, depending if you're single or family plan.
Thank you. And so we're gonna see a similar bump.
Correct.
Graph the track.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
All right. No further questions from Mr. Carroll? All right, we're going to move on to our financial section of the consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the October 2023 financial reports we just reviewed with Mr. Carroll. We need a motion to accept the following donations: $100 anonymous donation to student assistance, as well as an additional $200 anonymous donation to student assistance fund. We need to approve the following appropriations, modifications, and amend resources accordingly, and send updated reports to the county auditor on the transfers that Mr. Carroll explained to us. As well, approve the following grants, increase appropriations, and amend resources for agricultural education this quarter for $2,510.46. The STEM classroom grant for $5,000, healthy meals incentive for $146,770. We also need to approve an auxiliary service agreement with the Educational Service Center of Lake Erie West for the 2023-2024 school year in the amount of $90,698.40 for personnel for the benefit of Holy Trinity Schools, and amend resources and modify appropriations accordingly. We need to approve the following transfers and debt payments into modified appropriations and estimated resource accordingly there for our bond payments that he explained to us. We need to approve the 5-year forecast to be submitted to the Ohio Department of Education by November 30th of 2023. We also need to approve the return of unused auxiliary funds from Holy Trinity School in the amount of $1,064.22 from fiscal year 22 and 23. At this time, I just need a motion to approve the financial reports and other financial items.
So move. Support.
Any questions or discussion?
Does that healthy meals and settings, does that go to the group that we're having here?
It goes to the school and we will coordinate with them and buying new and updating equipment.
Okay.
But we own the equipment.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is something new, we're gonna be buying equipment?
Correct.
All right.
Any further questions? Roll call.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Bachelor,
Yes.
Mr. Murray.
Yes.
Mr. Keith.
Yes, motion carries. We'll move on to the personnel agenda. We need to approve all Evergreen teachers for 2023-2024 school year for approved additional hours or to supervise and or instruct students, including but not limited to that SOS tutoring, after school detention, or Friday school at the current hourly contracted rate. We also need to offer the following teacher a 1-year limited teaching contract effective October 23rd, 2023 for Michelle Paulson, Evergreen Elementary School Intervention Specialist. We need to accept the resignation of Scott Westbrook, Evergreen Elementary Aide, as well as Betty Bieber, Assistant Treasurer. To offer the following non-teaching 1-year limited contract effective November 20th for the 23-24 school year for Alina Guyton, an aide for 4-hour day. We need to add the following individuals to the approved district substitute list pending the completion of any and all licensure requirements and background checks. Courtney Boyd for kitchen aide custodian, Tanika Kundick for, kitchen aide custodian, Melissa Good for aide, and Taylor Miller for bus driver. Need to approve the following volunteers for 2023-2024 pending the completion of all people activity permit requirements. Andrew Paulson, softball volunteer, Haley Senn, softball volunteer, Kylie Raker, softball volunteer, and Courtney Gluckler for middle school girls basketball volunteer. We need to approve students for other students, which is SOS tutoring, for the 23-24 school year at the Ohio minimum wage rate. Approve the following request for FMLA leave for Caitlin Adamsack beginning on December 1st, 2023 and ending on May 31st, 2024. To approve the following high school and middle school pay or volunteer event workers for 2023-2024 for Annabelle Aback. We also need to extend an unpaid leave of absence for Mrs. Kim Reckner, elementary teacher, effective December 31st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. At this time, I just need a motion to approve the above listed personnel positions.
So, or,
Questions or discussion? All right, roll call.
Miller? Yes. Mr. Smith?
yes.
Mr. Beckett?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Peter?
Yes, motion carried. This time we'll move on to other business. We need a motion to approve the following pay rate for district substitutes for the bus drivers from $16.75 to $19.49 per hour.
So moved. Support,
Question or discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Miller?
yes.
Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckett?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Peter?
Yes, motion carried. This time we need a motion to approve an overnight trip for Evergreen FFA students to attend the FFA Mission Impact Conference in Dublin, Ohio. There are approximately 7 to 10 students who will be engaged in leadership development and learn about FFA opportunities in agricultural careers. Students will depart on January 13th and return January 14th. A school bus or van, if needed, will transport students to the conference. Alexis Howell, teacher, will be the trip supervisor. The cost of the trip is approximately $100 per student to be paid by attendees and supplemented by the FFA alumni if needed.
Support.
Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Miller? Yes. Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckett?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yeah.
Mrs. Peter?
Yes, motion carried. We need a motion to approve an overnight trip for Evergreen wrestling team to attend the Great Crossing Wrestling Tournament in Georgetown, Kentucky. Student athletes will have the opportunity to compete against other athletes from a different part of the state. Student athletes will depart on January 12th and return January 14th. The school van and parent drivers will transport students to the tournament. Coach Dalton Nicely will be the trip supervisor, and coaches Kyle Keeler, Ann Fleckler, Jesse Beverly, and Nathan Frost will be also attending. Cost of the trip is approximately $6 per student athlete to be paid by the Evergreen Wrestling Club.
So moved. Support,
Any more questions or discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Miller?
yes.
Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckett?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Peter?
Yes, motion carried. We need to approve an international trip for Evergreen students to travel to San Juan, Fajardo, Puerto Rico, coordinated through Explorica Tours. 14 students have the opportunity to immerse themselves in the Spanish language and culture through experiencing their language skills with native speakers. Students will depart on March 9th and return March 13th of 2024. Teachers Anna Ford and Natalie Mendez will be the trip supervisors, and and parent chaperones will also be accompanying students on the trip. Cost of the trip is approximately $2,261 per student and will be paid by the students.
So moved.
Support,
Question or discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Miller? Yes. Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckett?
yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Peter?
Yes, motion carries. We need a motion for the Evergreen Local Board of Education to enter a day treatment purchase service agreement with A&G Educational Services LLC, a special needs education company, for the sole purpose of providing educational services in accordance with the placement at the SOAR program. Students' placement will be at per diem rate of $65 per student.
Support,
Question or discussion?
what's the SOAR program?
It's an alternative education placement similar to the IEC, but it's a little closer. We have students that go to the LEAP program. It's on the same campus. It was an alternative to expulsion.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Bachelor?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Seaver?
Yes, motion carries. At this time, Mr. Smaller, would you like to take over discussion and information?
One of the items we discussed with the finance committee was looking at the potential for a full-time nurse for next school year. We know that is a need. That is something we discussed a few years ago when we had moved with a attendance clerk and a social worker. Didn't see the value of that position, so we didn't renew it 2 years ago. But looking at the needs of our students in the campus, having a nurse on campus every day of the week, we think would be very beneficial. Right now, we have a nurse for 2 days. She's contracted from Fulton County Health Department. We would do that for next school year. Just wanted to share that with the board, and that's something that we're looking at as a need for the district. Any questions? I know there was support for that in the past.
With this contract going through, oh,
Correct.
Which is what we do now, but it's part-time.
Right,
It's going to be
right.
part full.
Want to put that out there early enough now that they can plan for us for the next school year to either have Karen join us 5 days a week or to look for someone else to either supplement her other days or bring in somebody that could be here every day. So just wanted to share that with the board. That's the direction we're looking to move for the next school year. The next item under discussion and information, we've been approving the next year's school calendar and tentatively approving a year out. So we have those on here for, as a discussion item, welcome public feedback. I did hear from a few people last school year with the earlier start. They had preferred it to be a little bit, actually, we had a later start and they preferred it to be earlier. Heard from others who had liked it. So what is here for the 24-25 school year is identical to what the board tentatively approved last year, with the exception of September 30th, which is highlighted in gray on the next page. That is adding in an additional in-service day for district staff for training purposes. So teacher contract allows us to do 3 in-service days. We've been doing 2. We'd like to get the 3rd one added on so we can provide additional resources to our teachers. If you look at the 25-26 calendar, it is pretty much a mirror image of the 24-25. Everything's off by 1 day. Start times are very similar. Both of those calendars have a full 2 weeks at Christmas time for students to be off. And that's just the way the calendar fell. This year, we have the Monday after Thanksgiving because Christmas break was a little bit shorter, just the way the dates fell. So next year and the following year, if these are approved next month, have that longer break at Christmas time. Any questions on the calendar? Again, welcome public comment, feedback. The goal would be to have the board approve it after the opportunity for feedback between now and the December board meeting.
Any further discussion, Mr. Smaller?
No.
No. All right, Mrs. Brown.
Good evening, everybody. We have lots and lots of things happening at the elementary. First, I'd like to welcome Mrs. Michelle Paulson to the elementary staff. We are so excited to have her on board. She's an intervention specialist from the Evergreen community, and she brings 21 years of teaching experience. So we are super excited to have her on board. Our students also completed ELA state testing in 3rd grade and COGAT testing in 2nd grade. With the help of our teachers, our counselor, and Dr. Swinberg, everything went very smooth. So it's great to have that kind of behind us. Our student council recently partnered with FFA to collect canned goods with the help of Mrs. Ziegler and Mrs. Doble. They organized the event for us and collected approximately 1,200 canned good or food items. So we were excited to have FFA come and package all those up and take those for people in need. Also wanted to share that our recess shed is just about complete. It was a project that was funded, completely funded by local businesses. Wanted to thank all of those businesses that were involved. We have Mr. Chad Johnson from Pal Ready Mix, Mr. Mike Meredith from KDM Concrete, Mr. Micah Lestock from Carter Lumber, Mr. Ron Butchop, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Ron's Metal Sales, Amos Schwartz from Toledo Pole Barn, and Mr. Chet Mans from Gross and Mans Builders. So all of those people came together to have that built for us. and with no cost to the district or to MVP at all. So it's gonna be awesome to see that in use for our kids. We celebrated our students' academic excellence by honoring 168 students that made the honor roll, along with several other awards that our teachers created in ELA, math, and art this year. So it's always fun to see the kids cheer each other on and be excited about all the accomplishments they've made. We also had our Harvest Day Parade. I want to thank Mr. Rupert and Mr. Hendricks for help with the track. We got to use the track this year. It was very successful. Mr. Hendricks even made it a lot of fun by playing music. It was great to see so many of our families come out and watch their kids. So it was a really good time. Our building leadership team has also been working really well to plan and discuss activities, events, and student data at the elementary. So it's been a great process to keep that going with two meetings every month to keep things going at the elementary. MVP created an awesome event for our little kids, the Monster Mash. So we just wanted to thank them for that and all the work and effort they put into that. And our tree lighting event will be coming up on November 8th at 7 p.m. We currently have 425 people that have RSVP'd for that. So we're really excited. We're going to change the location this year. Last year we were pretty cramped. So we're gonna try to change it up and make it a little different. So it should be pretty good this year. Our counselor, Ms. Sharon, has also been partnering with Julie Weber with Sources of Strength. It's been a really great way to infuse positive messages every day into our announcements. Also, our winter program is coming up on December 14th. We are really excited to see what Mr. Torrance has in store for us. He's got lots of great things planned. So also wanted to share that recently received word that Evergreen Elementary was ranked 224th out of 3,049 schools, elementary schools in Ohio, which is the top 7%. I think that says a lot about not only our staff, but our community and the priority they put on education. So it was awesome to hear that and great to share that with our staff for all the hard work that they put in. Also, Mr. Sen, who is a community member and a transportation engineer, he and I have been meeting and texting and talking back and forth for about the last 3 weeks. We're looking to configure our parent pickup system. So he has been a great help with that because he knows a whole lot more about that in the engineering field than I do. So he's putting together some plans right now. We're going to get together and discuss those. So hopefully we can come up with maybe an improved plan for what we have at the end of each day. And one final thing, we did our district safety drill. It was a super great experience. We learned some pitfalls. We learned some things we did really well, but I think it was really good to see a visual of it all so that we know exactly what we need to do in case there is any type of emergency in the future. So it was a really good experience. So that's all I have. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Mr. Burkholder.
Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to thank Kelsey Wolf. She is this month's People's Champ for us in our building. If you don't know much about Mrs. Wolf, she has kind of a legendary science classroom. She's a crowd favorite in our building, so I'd like to give a shout out to her for her hard work that she does. I'd like to do a special thank you to North Star Steel. As you guys well know, a lot of you participated in starting the Amazing Shake program this year. They made a very generous donation to help us get that program started. Actually, when I was reaching out for donations, they just took care of the whole thing for us. So we very much appreciate that. Speaking of the Amazing Shake, the October 13th Viking Cafe experience took place in our building. We had a number of people around the district in the building help out, including high school kids who helped as servers and hostesses as we practice our manners and etiquette while having a little bit of a business luncheon that day. So that was a pretty successful event. I'd like to thank Tammy Knopfsinger and Marty Nichols for organizing that event for us. We had our first quarter row day. We teach the row characteristics in our building. The first one every quarter, every year is going to be respect. We centered this year's lesson around respect and how it's earned, and we related that to our military service members. We turned in the concept of respect and how it's earned into a thank you for your service challenge for our kids. And to recognize, we have 14 kids that were sent to a Toledo Walleye hockey game for being the leaders in our building when it comes to, for actually doing acts of service for our service members. On October 27th, we celebrated our first quarter successes. We had 34 students get all A's, so they got rewarded with their all A's breakfast. We had dough box donuts, it was a hit. And then we also celebrated having 153 students accomplish the honor roll. Also, for the first quarter celebration, we always do our Row Character Awards. Teachers nominate students. We had 35 students nominated for their character. I'd like to thank Brooklyn Camacho, Myri Sanchez, and Carson Wise for helping me with that assembly. And I would also like to thank Leaders Farm and Sky Cinema. They made the donations of gift cards that we rewarded to the recipients of the awards. Also, I'd like to recognize, we had just had our Veterans Day Assembly. The 8th grade band played at the assembly. For anybody who was there, they heard how excellent those kids did. I'm sure they made the veterans very proud. So shout out to Mr. Stearman and Mr. Lyons. They always have those kids ready to go. And I also want to thank Lottie Dockerday and Zoe Zeltowski. They're the middle school students that led the pledge for us that day. We had an event on November 3rd, similar like the elementary. We had our Halloween dance put on by MVP. It was a hit. We had over 100 kids that attended. I'd also like to thank the EMS staff that generously volunteered their evening. A lot of great costumes, and we did have a competition, so it was pretty good. Since Sherry bragged, I'll brag as well. The U.S. News and Report also did a middle school report, and Evergreen Middle School ranked 291st out of 2,446 schools. So that puts us in the 89th percentile. So again, shout out to the staff and the workers in the building, because that's why we do so well. So last meeting, you had requested a 5th grade update. So I'll share a little bit of that if you have time. So far this year, we've been planning quite a bit in terms of getting ready for the 5th grade transition. So between myself, teachers, the 5th and 6th grade committee, the guidance counselor, and even the office staff, we've been preparing for that. Number of areas that we focused on so far for the year. Facilities, we have been working on a building layout to make it as functional as possible, particularly having a setup for the 5th and 6th grade and 7th grade areas. Obviously, certain locations we've discussed have to be kind of specific to what they do, whether it be the special ed department or specials like the band or our areas. Those rooms are kind of specifically designed. Cafeteria has been running this year for us this year, and it's gone really well so far. The new food services has gained in popularity, so we have more and more kids eating there. But it's been a smooth process for us, and we're looking at possibly adding a couple more lunch tables to accommodate the extra bodies that we'll have next year. The student lounge, as I call it now, was known as the media center, the tech room before in the past. We're calling it student lounge now. We've begun to renovate that. There's new carpet in there, new furniture, couches, and movable tables. I've been meeting with the high school art club. They're gonna paint a mural on the wall for us. And we have an exterior door now put in that will lead to the outdoor courtyard, which we're also planning on having as an area for kids to go and spend time as well. Topics that have really been discussed quite a bit in terms of our 5th and 6th grade meetings, kind of getting input from the teachers as far as their needs, what they have for each grade level. We're probably going to redo our 5th and 6th grade orientation compared to what it's been the last couple of years. Streamline it more to the 5th and 6th grade group to their needs. And we've even looked at possibly a different looking opening day or even opening week for those kids. So their first couple days might be a little different than the 7th and 8th grade. We've also begun to start to look at the row house system that we have now currently and started to devise plans in terms of make it more specific to grade levels. So we'll keep having our row system, the respect, ownership and working hard system that we have. It'll be more designed to tailor. So we'll have a 5th and 6th grade group, and we'll have a 7th and 8th grade group still with houses, but they'll just build into the next level houses. We discussed everything from middle school student council to parent-teacher conference scheduling, also implementing the new 5th graders into the Make Shake program. So right now it's a 6th and 7th grade program, but we want to make 5th grade part of that step as well. We discussed Harvest Day, which they just had. and some of the MVP fundraisers that they do. And including then some resources from Sources of Strength, which is also being implemented this year in the iReady testing. So all those things have been implemented this year with the time and effort also being put into what it's gonna look like the next year for the 5th grade, so. Any questions?
Nothing on the schedule, like, schedules yet, like the classes and how that's gonna look, that's not been talked about yet, right?
When you say the schedule, like,
For 5th grade.
like what classes we'll be offering?
Yeah.
Nothing new this year has been added to it outside of what we researched last year and talked about. Remember last year, the tentative schedule we looked at was offering them double periods of ELA, double periods of math. Still getting them, the opportunity to have band, choir, art, PE. So those things are all the same, as far as looking at that, but until we kind of get into the spring and we start to look at numbers of students we have, won't really be able to like sequence those things out.
Questions for Mr. Burkholder? Thank you, Ms. Burkholder.
Thanks.
Mr. Roofer.
Good evening. Going back, it was actually the last board meeting, we had a choir concert. And then the 24th, we had the fall band concert. So congratulations to those groups. They were great concerts. And the music department had the musical this weekend. It was very good. I talked to Mr. Rosen today. It was the highest attendance since he's been here. The night with the least amount of people was more than what he ever had the previous one. So it was a good turnout. Kids did a great job. The music department's gonna turn around and do another concert here in a couple weeks for Christmas, both band and choir. November 16th, we had our NHS induction ceremony. You had the list of kids there. There were 25 kids inducted. Also want to congratulate our parliamentary procedure team. That is Jackson Huffman, Austin Gillen, Nate Emmons, Kelly Wise, Kate Wise, Molly Elvey, Alex Paulson, and Lene Mans. They won the county and district competitions, and they will go on to state, which is December 2nd. Also on the 16th, we held our FFA Green Hand induction, and this year there was 48 kids inducted, which is a very large group of new students who met that requirement. So again, the FFA program is growing. It's good to see that. Last, I know we've talked about, I just want to congratulate the boys soccer team on league champs, sectional champs, district champs. Our girls soccer team was also sectional champs and had a great season. And also congratulations to Isaac Sheets, who made it to the regional cross country meet. He ran a really good race and set himself up for some success next year to have a chance at state. So congratulations to those athletes. A lot going on, preparing for final semester exams and all the good stuff wrapping up the semester. So, questions? You?
Thank you, Mr. Roofer. Mr. Noble.
Good evening. First, I just wanted to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to step into this role as Director of Technology at Evergreen. We haven't had a technology update since you guys approved that, so thank you very much. Start of the year went off well. All the Chromebooks for grades 4 through 12 were passed out pretty efficiently. We have new devices in grades 3, 6, and 9. That's a continuous rotation, so those every year those grade levels get new Chromebooks. They follow them 3rd, 4th, 5th, get new in 6th, and then get new in 9th. When they graduate, they have the option to take their Chromebook with them. We had about 90% of students that graduated in the spring that actually did take their device with them. New staff orientation went off well as a few weeks before school started, and all of our new staff are up and running pretty efficiently. Haven't heard of any downfalls with new staff. We put new vape detectors in thanks to a grant that Dr. Swineford got. I worked with Johnson Controls to get those up and running. We ran into a few issues initially, but we did get those up and running. And now I am working with them to try and make some adjustments so that we aren't getting as many false positives as what we are getting right now. The 911 Inform system is nearing completion. Obviously, Mr. Smola and Dr. Swineford have had lots of updates for those for this project. I've been pretty hands-on with this from the get-go since about last March. All of our strobes are running and programmed, which are the lights that go off. I had to work with Brightspeed to purchase a block of 160 DIDs, which is direct inward dialing. It's basically all of our extensions have a specific phone number now. And the reason for that is it gives a specific dispatchable location when 911 is dialed. So instead of it just coming from Evergreen High School, it is now coming from Evergreen High School, room 102. So they know the specific location that the emergency is coming from. This puts us in compliance with the new carries law and Ray-Bonds Act, which is part of that dispatchable location. I'm continuing to work with Dan Spiegel from Secure Tech to finalize this project, and hopefully soon we can put a lid on it and we will be up and running fully ready to go. Multi-factor authentication is now in place for the whole district. So appreciate the staff and also you board members and administration for doing your part to keep our district safe with multi-factor authentication. Student data privacy is a huge topic right now in schools. I went to a session back in April. I believe I talked on it when I updated you last briefly, but we are now a member of the Student Data Privacy Consortium. We're one of only 208 schools in the state that are part of this consortium. So this essentially districts can hold like our software vendors accountable for what they use our students' data for. Are they releasing it, or what data are they keeping? What happens to that data when we use that vendor? I did finally get our first agreement signed a few weeks ago with Big Ideas Learning, who is our math curriculum. And I was, when I typed this, I was still waiting approval from Lightspeed Systems and McGraw-Hill, which I actually, before the meeting, received an email that we have agreements for both of those vendors now as well. So that list will continue to build. These are legal documents. So if there was ever a breach of student data, we could help hold those vendors accountable for their actions. So Lightspeed Systems is one of those companies that we did get approved. I want to talk briefly on a new product that I'm working on right now. It is not up and running completely. Should be hopefully by Christmas break. It's called Lightspeed Alert. This is an at-risk student identification solution that monitors and analyzes activity for signs of self-harm or bullying. It's all driven with AI, and it's all connected to the agent that is running on all of our students' machines as far as how they are filtered. So the AI can detect, you know, what they're searching, emails being sent to other students, so on and so forth. And it can pick up things that might be beneficial that we can intervene early. So we will get notifications. The principals and myself, however we want to set that up, they'll get notified when there is a red flag. There could be a sign of self-harm or bullying. So that's pretty neat. I'm excited about that. I actually went to Brian back in the spring and asked him if this was something we could add, because we did have had an instance here at Evergreen where that product would have been extremely helpful. So he gave me the okay, and we're hopefully going to be up and running soon. School Messenger. We are still in a contract with them for our parent to teacher communication. Obviously, we use them for our delays and cancellation notifications, and we actually use them to host our website. As of right now, I don't plan on renewing the parent teacher app communication. I am exploring alternatives right now. I just have not been pleased with that application. It's been a headache from the get-go. We've given them numerous chances to correct it, and it just seems to be going nowhere. It is up and running functionally now, but they don't have an app. for the teacher side. So the teacher has to use a laptop or they have to use the web browser on their phone, which can be clunky, it doesn't, work well. This is also an issue for our coaches. If you're out on the field and you need to send a message, it'd be nice just to go to the app and get it done. So I am looking at alternatives for that. I have a meeting in December with another vendor. And hopefully we can keep you posted on what we find out on that. And then lastly, I just want to talk about some future projects that I'll be working on along with John, the new technology coordinator down at the elementary. We're going to be working on getting a mobile device management platform in place. Basically that will give us, it's a software that will give us a hub to control all of our teacher devices so that we can push software out, software updates. We're running into a lot of security things right now, and the way we have our staff devices set up is not really ideal or safe. So we're gonna use an MDM to control that. And I have 4 pilots scheduled in December to see which one we like best, and then we will go from there. I have a walkthrough with Dan Spiegel from Secure Tech on Wednesday of this week to just do a walkthrough of our security cameras and, take a look at any blind spots that we may have or areas that we may need to add cameras. And then we may work with him in the future as Dr. Swineford is working on a grant that we could potentially upgrade our camera system at some point. Dan is just one of 4 vendors that we will look at. I'm excited to work with Dan. He's a really good guy to work with. We've been working together on 911 Inform. He's the engineer behind that. And so he will be here Wednesday to do a walkthrough with me. We will be purchasing new laptops in the spring for our intervention specialist and our district staff, along with administration that is needed. New Chromebook purchases will be made in the spring as well. That will be for 360 Chromebooks. Interactive displays, we will, I'm still pretty new here at the high school as far as knowing where Angela was with upgrades and things of that nature. So I'm getting a list around as far as the actual interactive panels that might need to be updated or replaced for next year. And then I have begun looking, again, working with Dan Spiegel at potentially housing our own phone system here at Evergreen instead of contracting that out with DataServe. We haven't been overly happy with the phones that they put in 2 years ago, I think, or it's coming up on 2 years. And after speaking with Dan, I think it could be beneficial to house our own system here on site, give us the freedom of making changes when needed instead of having to put a ticket in and get those changes made by somebody else. And it also could probably save us money in the long run as well. We've been kind of hesitant to do that just because of the knowledge behind it, but after speaking with Dan, I'm not opposed to doing it, and I feel quite comfortable that we'd be able to manage something like that on site. So that's not soon, but it down the road could be coming. And then lastly, I have briefly begun to update our district technology plan that you guys approved back in 2020. So I think we will probably have that back for an updated approval probably in the next year or so. That's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Small.
Yeah, a few things. I'd like to begin by thanking the Evergreen community for their ongoing support of the district. As we move forward into the new calendar year, we'll continue to focus on our strategic plan and the initiatives that will drive the district forward and provide the best opportunities and experiences for our students. As already mentioned, our full-scale drill on November 17th was a success. Our staff and students performed very well. This was the first time we practiced a campus evacuation. The drill, which was conducted with Fulton County Emergency Management, showed us what we did well and some areas for improvement. And we will not be required to do another full-scale drill for 2 more years. So we'll go back to doing a functional or a tabletop and then a functional and then a full scale. It's a 3-year rotation required by the state. Participation in our food service program continues to increase. In November, we served 8,911 breakfasts and 11,465 lunches. This is up from 2,498 breakfasts and 2,000. It's up by 2,498 breakfasts and it's up 2,347 lunches over October. Overall daily participation in the lunch program is at 46%, so I think there's still some room for improvement. And Variety Food Service is planning to meet with student leaders and then send out a student survey before the end of the semester to see what the kids want to do even better. So we're moving in the right direction. They're doing a great job, but they're looking how can they also improve and provide more options to our kids. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Small. Are there any board members with questions or concerns?
I'm only gonna bring this up because I got like 3 or 4 fundraising papers at home. I'm a little disappointed because we hosted what, was it district soccer, the girls? And it was put out to every group in the school, not only athletics, but everyone else, to run the concession stand. And no one stepped up. And the reason why I'm saying anything, because we got papers at home for fundraising, I know we need to fundraise, but the junior class after prom made $1,000 for 4 nights. So it's easy to send papers out and ask for money. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? But it'd also be nice if we would step up and work the concession stand, you know, just a group, whatever. Not only athletics, but anyone, sad, drama, whatever. But I mean, I think I got 3 or 4 papers at home now asking for money. And this is easy $1,000 for, I think it was 2 hours a game. So just a little disappointed. I think we look to get the money the easy way instead of earn it and put a little work in to get it. So.
Any further questions or concerns? All right, at this time, any motion for the members of the Evergreen Local Board of Education, Superintendent, Treasurer, and invited guests to go into executive session for the following reasons: to consider the employment of public employees.
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Miller? Yes. Mr. Pitt?
Yes.
Mr. Vecchio?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes, motion carries. There will be no action after the executive session. So at this time, any